On a rainy day at the shore, it's still Community Day and Family Day here in West Long Branch, and we start off a doubleheader with Hofstra and Monmouth. Windy day here in West Long Branch. Welcome to the broadcast, everyone. I'm Eddie Acapinti, along with former Loyola Greyhound All-American keeper Tim McGeaney, and we appreciate you joining our broadcast today, Tim, that features two teams in the Pride and the Hawks looking for their first CAA win.
It's going to be a great game today, Eddie. It's critical to come out of today's contest with a win. You don't want to go 0-3 in the stacked CAA.
Yeah, it's going to be all about playoff positioning later on in this season, and these teams take that first step potentially this afternoon. Let's look at the impact player matchup, and we start with one of the best middies in the league. Let's look at Matt Elder.
Matt Elder, the grad student out of Mooresville, North Carolina, last week in 2 games scored 5 goals, dished out 4 assists. Both CAA contests, had a career best against Delaware, 4 goals last week.
And while for Monmouth, we look at the guy responsible for starting a lot of possessions, let's go to the face-off X with Matt Sutar.
The senior out of Mount Laurel, face-off's going to be the key to the game, but last week he just had a wonderful outing. Not only was he 19 of 28 on face-offs with 14 ground balls, but he also scored 2 goals. Critical matchup at the face-off dot today.
Yeah, Sutar has been excellent at that face-off dot. Then getting into the scoring run of things the last matchup, Tim, but he's been so good for so long here in West Long Branch.
He has, and with that performance last week, that was his 3rd straight season with over 100 face-off wins. On top of that, he also became the record holder for face-off wins in Monmouth history with 412. So he's been a staple at the face-off dot for this program. Last week, he literally kept them in the game by getting so many possessions, especially in the second half when Stony Brook made that tremendous comeback.
Yeah, Monmouth had a big lead in that matchup with the Seawolves, 5-0 lead before ultimately falling. Looking for their first CAA win as a program, Hofstra looking for its first CAA win this season. And I know we touched on it quickly and how great Sutar's been, but his counterpart in this matchup, Chase Patterson, is the best face-off man in the league, but it's Sutar who wins the first face-off this afternoon.
Best face-off man in the league and 3rd in the nation with face-off win percentage here. You saw a face-off violation there. Well, Monmouth will take it any way they can get it. It'll be interesting to see if they can continue the pace of scoring from last week. It was a bit of an outburst for sure in that first quarter. They did a great job moving the ball. They took advantage of the openings, and they put the ball on net, and that's going to be critical today as well.
Come into play averaging just over 9 goals a matchup. So you mentioned that 12-goal outburst a week ago, definitely encouraging for Brian Fisher's Hawks.
Absolutely, against a very good Stony Brook team. And I think that 12 number, that 12 goal, that's going to be whoever wins that game. I think you get the 12 goals, you're going to win this contest.
First shot of the matchup. And it will stay this end of things. And Connor McCray, who's been so good for so long in a Monmouth uniform, got the first attempt.
It was a nice bounce shot. We have a little bit of a wet turf here, so, those are bounce shots. We got under 10 seconds on the shot clock here.
First possession of the afternoon, or the morning, I should say, with this early start here in West Long Branch. And with 1 on the clock, it will stay with Monmouth, but they'll most likely have to get rid of it. That was a blistering shot from Matt Carcian.
We're going to see a lot of ball control today from Monmouth when they get the ball offensively. Brian Fisher's teams, his 10th year, they're defensive-oriented. So I think what they want to do is try to keep it a low-scoring affair. Unlike last week, they just had to play at faster pace, but they proved to themselves last week that they could play a faster pace and they could score goals against a very good team.
Yeah, we used the word encouraging before, and I think it applies in this first season, this transitional season for Monmouth in the CAA. We know how good the Colonial Athletic Association is. Hofstra's been such a good team. They're going through their own growing pains as well. But, Tim, you can't really overstate the point enough. Monmouth making the leap from the MAC to the CAA, that is quite a jump in competition. It
absolutely is, but I think it's awesome for, again, this program across the athletic department, but specifically in lacrosse, both for men's and women's. It is a step up in competition, and, we're seeing it here early on. That looked like it got in near pipe.
And it did. Our impact player for the Pride, Matt Elder, getting Hofstra on the board.
That's an excellent look. And as we talked about in the open, these are such good shooters. You can see he barely has any angle, but he sees a little bit off hip near pipe and he sticks it right there from 5 yards out. That's just an excellent finish and a great way. You take an opportunity and you capitalize. That was an unbelievable shot there.
26th career goal for Elder, graduate student from Mooresville, North Carolina. And then the ensuing faceoff controlled by the best faceoff man in the league, Chase Patterson, as Hofstra with a 1-0 lead controls.
And that first opening possession, I say it every broadcast, Eddie, you want to make goalies make saves. And right there, again, you see an opportunity. In this league, I love this league, the CAA. There's so much good offense. It's awesome, and that is a case in point right there where you give them an inch and they're going to take it and they're going to finish.
Big time stop, Andrew Coleman from straight away, the junior keeper with the save.
That was an awesome save for a couple reasons. One, the shot came, you had the entire 6x6. It was a bounce shot, wet turf, kind of skipped low and skipped off. That was a great save for Coleman.
I was going to ask you about that. With the wet turf, rain expected throughout the morning into the early afternoon here. It's going to present a challenge for keepers on bounce shots because you don't know how it's going to play when it hits that wet turf.
Absolutely. Now, I will say, the field turf is better than the old school AstroTurf. We see it in the distance here with field hockey. But yes, when the turf gets wet and it's more of a sidearm to three-quarter bounce shot, it tends to skip, so it really doesn't lose any velocity.
I can imagine the challenge an afternoon like this would have presented with old school AstroTurf. In your playing days, did you encounter many playing surfaces that had that old school, that veteran stadium and Philly style turf?
Yes, and our home field was the old school AstroTurf. Nice opportunity there. Another great save and an opportunistic rebound.
You mentioned it. Monmouth continues an onslaught in front of the Hofstra goal as Cade Stratton, one of the best goal scorers in Monmouth history, ties the match.
You can see here this is a good take, bounce shot. Make the goalie make a save. Can't get the rebound. Opportunistic. That's fine. They'll take it. Stratton, again, right there, was willing to soak up that check, put it in the back of the net. Both, and Eddie, back on the bounce shots. Both of the bounce shots that we've seen, both goalies have made saves, but they weren't clean saves. Both of those were rebounds. Monmouth just happened to get their rebound. Hofstra did not. Critical part of being a goaltender is making not only a save, but a clean save where you maintain possession.
Second face-off violation that Hofstra has encountered here in this first quarter, so it will stay with Monmouth. So then let's take that point and extend it. The keepers seem to, like you mentioned, have an idea of what to expect this afternoon, but maybe it's the defenders that need to be more aware of what's going on.
Absolutely, and one of the biggest transitions from when I played from high school to college was the amount of communication, the talking that you had to do. So whenever you give up a rebound, you have to scream that. That way your defensemen know, okay, it's not a goal, it's not a save because there's no clear call, it means a rebound, so you have to take arms inside.
Monmouth takes better care of possession than any team in the CAA. They've committed the fewest amount of turnovers, but that previous turnover now gives Hofstra a chance just over 5 minutes in to our opening quarter to break a 1-1 tie.
It's also going to be a big, that's a very large human being there for Hofstra.
It is, as you get a look at the 6'4" senior Ryan Sheridan.
And he did a nice job there. You don't need a lot when you're driving from behind, especially at that height, to shoot not only over top of the short stick D-midi, but put it on cage, and it's just a great opportunity. You can see him working here. Excellent save by Coleman.
Oh, and almost a dicey spot in the back there with Coleman and Terrence Lacewell, but you see Monmouth's keeper able to come away with it. How about Hofstra isolating the 6'4" Sheridan, just putting him in the post?
Absolutely. That's exactly right. It's like because he has a favorable matchup, he's got one of the short stick D-middies, so they invert him behind and say, you know what? mano a mano, go to the goal, see what can happen. Got 2 shots off in that possession, 1 missed. Nice save, low angle. Coleman absorbed that one with his chest.
His second save here in the first quarter. This is Monmouth's Ryan O'Rourke.
So one of the things Hofstra needs to be careful of, they've already had 2 procedure calls against them at the face-off dot. If they get a third, it's going to be a 30-second penalty.
Monmouth testing this Hofstra defense here.
I like that skip pass, again, but I also like the fact that they didn't shoot it. Again, keeping possession, good save there.
Up into the air again, wasn't cleanly saved initially, but Matt Gates, after first making the save, not knowing where it was, able to clear it away. You see Gates having a strong spring in the pipes. And
both of these goalies, it's been back and forth. They've each made very similar saves so far. But as Eddie, as you know in our history, I'm as being a former goalkeeper, I'm always talking about the goalies quite a bit. But it's the CAA also has some very strong goalkeepers, so it's a great conference, and just excited to be here on this Saturday morning.
And I think we've made the point previously. And by the way, it's great to be back in the booth. It's so much fun to be back with Tim and our producer Andrew Kurtz and the whole crew here. But I think I've said this to you before. You know, when Tony Romo analyzes a football game, he does it from the perspective of a quarterback. And I would expect a goalkeeper like yourself to do something similar. But, you know, for the viewers out there, it's not all you're going to get, but it could start there.
It can. And as I tell every goalie that I train, I'm like, even if you're not named a captain, you are a captain. You are a coach on the field, because you have the vantage point of being able to see everything and see everyone. So just like a quarterback, you have to know whose responsibility, everyone's responsibility on the team. Second slide, third slide, Phil, are we in man? Are we playing zone defense? You know, what are we going to do with big little picks? And you can see another great ride there by Hofstra. Nobody behind, but it doesn't matter when you put the ball on net like that.
Trevor Natalie, the redshirt freshman, forcing the turnover and then finishing all on his own to give Hofstra the lead.
And this was, you can see there's no one behind for Hofstra, but that is a unbelievable shot. Great placement. That is low and away, and that was a rip. Put Hofstra up 2-1, sorry.
5th goal of the season, but the 3rd straight matchup for the Pride this season in which Natalie has scored. He previously scored against Fairfield. We came on air discussing how great Matt Sutar has been this season, and he's had a really good game against the best face-off man in the league, Tim, in Hofstra's Chase Patterson.
And this is, we said it was going to be a key to the game, but they both have battled. You get a little nod to Sutar and Monmouth today, but you know, it's one thing to win possessions, but then, as we had talked about right before the break, when you give up 3 possessions because you don't do a little thing like running out shots, it takes away from the work that's been done in other areas of the field.
And the point we were making before our final media timeout, in just how good Hofstra's been this season. You know, they're so talented. They've been on the losing end of 3 one-goal games. But a game like this might be what they need to kind of jumpstart the second half of their season.
Absolutely. And as we had talked about, you get a win here. If you're Hofstra, you're like, okay, we're 1-2. We still have, you know, we've got a lot of lacrosse left to play. But, again, also a young team kind of going through a little bit of a rebuilding effort. You know, but this could be a big win for them if they are able to pull through against a feisty Monmouth. And they knew it. Talking to their coach, they knew that it was going to be a game. There's this not a gimme against the one of the newest members of the CAA.
Well, and you look after this matchup, Hofstra gets to return home with a big game with Towson. That's almost like a playoff elimination game already. That's next Saturday on Long Island, and then road matchups with Drexel and Hampton before finishing the regular season with Stony Brook at home.
That's just that Stony Brook game could come down to one of 2 things: who's going to get in the top 4, or positioning within the top 4.
And then you look at Monmouth, which has another non-league game before they finish up with CAA play. They still have 3 of their last 4 away from home. They have to go to Hampton, Fairfield, and Drexel. Their last home game after this afternoon, and the next time we'll have them is April 22nd against that Tigers team.
And looking at the scoreboard here, Towson and Stony Brook are tied up at 4 in the second. Delaware has a big advantage on Hampton. You can see Coleman out of the goal. Has to come out. Under a minute left to go here. This has just been a solid team victory for Hofstra. Again, got to the 12-goal mark. Yeah, it was something that we had talked about, but I think this game for them was really won defensively, and the work that Gates put in, 71% save average on the afternoon, and that right there has been the difference.
Yeah, and you look at what Hofstra did in that second and third quarter where they outscored Monmouth 6-2. That came after Monmouth had really, especially in that third, they looked like they kind of, found their footing. But then Hofstra made sure they had an answer for every run that Monmouth made this afternoon.
They did, I mean, momentum, we said momentum swung. It was basically all Hofstra in the first, and then Monmouth quick out of halftime with 2 goals. But Hofstra did a good job of just staying patient. They fought their way back, and they won those middle quarters, as you had said, Eddie, 6-2, and that is the difference.
Well, they won the middle quarters, and they're going to come away with their first CAA win of the season. The Pride will improve to 3-7 overall, 1-2 in league play. The loss drops Monmouth to 0-3 in the CAA, and they dip below 500 overall. Back and forth competitive game early, but one in which Hofstra Tim ultimately took control and wins their first CAA matchup of the year, 12-6.
Yes, and it was a good solid game. I think this is going to be, while Monmouth goes to 0-3 in conference play, I think what this allows them to do is go back and look at the tape again and say, Coach Fisher's going to say, guys, we're not that far away. We don't give them 3 additional possessions. And maybe the score is 9-6. They're not that far away with such a young team. So while you hate to talk about moral victories, but I think between the Stony Brook contest and how well they played offensively, what they did today, especially at the face-off dot, you came across the hot goalie. There's not much you can do there.
A hot goalie, 4 goals from Kane, and that's a recipe that Hofstra uses for the win. Your final game stats presented by the Monmouth Medical Center and RWJ Barnabas Health tell the story of a Pride win in West Long Branch here on Saturday. For our entire production crew, our producer Andrew Kurtz, and my broadcast partner Tim McGaney, I'm Eddie Acapinti saying so long from Kessler Stadium. Flow Sports is your home for live and on-demand CAA sports coverage all season long. Visit flowsports.tv/CAA for more information. This has been a presentation of the Monmouth Digital Network. 15 saves for Matt Gates, 4 goals for Gerard Kane, and a dominating defensive effort lead Hofstra to a 12-6 win over Monmouth here on a rainy Saturday at the Shore. And Delaware leading into this one, he'll take it.
Fairfield, Delaware, CAA competition, so he's no stranger to playing in big spots.
Face-off won by Sutar. It's going to be a great matchup to watch all afternoon long between Sutar and Chase Patterson.
I think if whoever can get to about on the face-offs 55%, I think that's going to be a key number. Again, just looking at the data, going back, and we're about midway through the season, it's seeing, the trends, how they do in wins, how they do in losses. I think that 55% number is going to be critical to face-off dot. I think for the goalies, whoever gets to that 55% number on a save percentage, I think that is a 1-2 combo that will lead to victory.
Yeah, that's something we'll definitely keep an eye on. That one was deflected away from Stratton, and then look at the hustle by Matt Gates.
And that is a great job. As a goaltender, he was not forced to make the save, but that's one of those that is like a save, a run out. If you pick off a pass, those are little things that turn into possessions. That's just like a clean save. So that's a great job of him by recognizing the opportunity there. No backup for Monmouth. So, and there was 35 seconds left on the shot clock. So you'd like to see them work that a little bit lower, but you also want to, that's a little thing. You want to make sure that you've got that shot backed up.
5:35 to go here, opening quarter. Monmouth and Hofstra each looking for their first CAA win. Loose ball. Sykes going to give chase and scoop it up. Still 35 seconds to shoot. It's Brandon Rispoli, the freshman from Briarcliff Manor, New York, with strong defense. Shot will go high and wide from Rory Jones.
And as we've talked about with Coach Fisher, this is a very young team, and that's a perfect example. You've got another one of your short stick, your what they call the rope unit. The rope unit is simply two short stick defensive midfielders, a long stick midi. That's the rope unit, and he, as a freshman, has seen considerable playing time. And I love what he did. He went out there, was very aggressive. Why not? If you get beat at the 40-yard line, you still have 30 yards before he gets close to the goal. So I like that aggressive nature there.
Jones tries it again. It was deflected initially. Now two different Monmouth defenders harassing Rory Jones as Monmouth comes away with the stop.
Very good defensive stop right there for Monmouth. One of the defenders, not sure who it was, soaked that shot, but that's it. That's as a former goalie. Again, you like to see your defenseman every once in a while. They'll step in and take one for you. But that's again, excellent job of playing good, solid defense and getting that possession, a shot clock violation there by Hofstra.
Monmouth will sort out its unit for this possession. Hawks scored to tie the game at 1. Goal courtesy of Cade Stratton before Hofstra scored the match's most recent goal. We mentioned Monmouth scores just over 9 goals a matchup, but come in after a 12-goal performance against Stony Brook. Throwback here, Stratton not ready. We go back the other way.
That was an excellent skip pass. Stratton, though, was thinking, I have an opportunity. He shot it before, looking, and another finish there by Elder.
It was Tom Ford with the long stick to start the transition opportunity. Credit him with the assist and Elder's second goal.
And credit him because when you're a long pole coming down, it's very easy to just shoot that, to want to shoot that. You know, to come down on a 4-on-3 fast break. Hofstra was in a bit of a flat break there, but credit Elder for just catching and finishing.
Third career assist for Ford as well. And maybe the difference, Tim, Tom Ford, in addition to having a great name, by the way.
Yes.
Probably very well dressed.
Yes.
Is a graduate student, so he's got the experience to know if he can draw one defender in, one of his teammates will be open.
Draw and dump. That's exactly it. Draw and dump. And so the margin of error for Monmouth this year was such a young team, moving into CAA in terms of better competition. That offensive possession was a perfect example of doing all the right things, but then the little thing, just giving up that possession up top. It was a beautiful skip pass to Stratton. He couldn't handle it, but Hofstra takes advantage of that turnover. So those are the little things that we always talk about. It's not much, but they add up throughout not only a quarter, but the game and throughout the season.
As now Hofstra, after that Chase Patterson face-off win, will look to build on a 3-1 lead. You saw the stat from Patterson, just under 10 ground balls a game, leads the league. Monmouth coming away with a defensive stop here on the interception. Here is Scooter Whiteside. Monmouth so happy to see number 15 back in uniform after missing all of last season with an injury. Stratton getting creative.
That was, you could see he had the stick in his right hand briefly, thought about a cross crease pass, that was covered, put it back in his left, shot it wide. That's okay. I mean, again, he is a goal scorer. He's going to shoot. You don't want to give him a red light and tell him not. You want him to keep putting the ball on net.
That Monmouth has with 15 goals on the season. Big shot taken here from Carcian. And we'll send it down the other way.
And again, with that dodge from behind, that's the second time here already in the first where there hasn't been a backup. And you can see there's just no one back there, but great awareness by Hofstra, and they get possession.
You wonder if that's more in part to Carcian shooting quicker than his teammates were expecting, or if it was part of the strategy that time down. But like you said, that's been a couple of times.
It has been. So these are all teaching points that I'm sure coach will continue to monitor and talk to his team. That's just a little thing. Make sure we've got backups. Don't mind you shooting, but make sure you've got a backup, especially on those dodges from behind.
That was Elder that ripped that shot. Good start to this one for the Pride. They've converted 3 of their 4 shots here in the first quarter.
And that offensive efficiency is really critical, making sure. And what that simply means is with every offensive possession you get in your half of the field, do you score a goal? And that's, again, the efficiency, both offense and defense, is something that we're going to focus on today.
Shot clock down to 5. And right in front, an opportunity for Hofstra's Justin Sykes that he sends high.
Very good defensive effort there. That shot was not on goal, so it didn't hit the goalie, it didn't hit the pipe, so there was no shot clock reset. So that was the second shot clock violation. Good job defensively by Monmouth here in the first.
And with under 50 seconds remaining in this opening quarter, a chance for Monmouth to do what it likes to do. Take some time, run its offense, and look to get its second goal. They've had issues with the clear a bunch in this first quarter, as that was Luke Cole being initially hit and then falling. He was battling what Dalton sees.
So that was close. That could almost have been a push with possession, which would have been a 30-second penalty. But they considered that, I guess, a loose ball push. And quite honestly, it did look like the defender got there early, kind of went over his back like he was going up for a rebound. It is basketball season, by the way. What a game last night.
Final 4 tonight, by the way.
Yes. Just a great time of year. Opportunity here.
Off the post.
Pipe.
Rings off the post and into the stands.
So that's going to be a shot clock reset. So, again, on the resets, it goes to 60, not 80.
And just 7.5 seconds left in this first quarter. See if Monmouth gets an attempt after that shot from Ty Caffarelli. Here is Cole. And he threw it away. Hofstra will come away with the turnover to end an impressive first quarter for the Pride. Mac Gates and company will take a 3-1 lead into the second quarter. Welcome you back to West Long Branch. Hofstra a 3-1 lead over Monmouth. Pride looking to snap a 4-match losing streak. Tim, on the other side of the equation, Monmouth has dropped 3 in a row. One of these teams trying to break into the win column.
As we talked about in the Open, this is such a difficult conference. You don't want to go 0-3. You want to come out of here with a win. Because quite honestly, I watched the Towson Tigers play 2 games this year, and I would say they're probably the best 2-6 team in the country. They took Loyola, a top 12 team, to overtime. They stood toe-to-toe with Virginia for 3 quarters, and both of these teams here today still have to play them. So this is, again, this is a critical early season matchup here in the CAA, and one of these 2 teams is going to get their first conference victory of the season.
You mentioned it in the Open. Not only you want to get that first win, but then you start playing the numbers game where you go, well, it's hard to make the postseason in the CAA. You know there's some teams that are probably going to go through unbeaten or with 1 loss. You start, Tim, looking around the room. You want to be in that room at the end of the season.
Yeah, you have to. And again, you don't want to look ahead, but at the same time, you want to make sure you stress to your team the critical nature for both sides today to get a win here. 1-2 versus 0-3 in a conference. You want that postseason conference berth, so it's going to be critical for these teams here to continue. And this is just a great opportunity here. Bounce shot off the pipe.
That was Sean Ketchen was running on late. That close for making it a 1-goal game.
So you can see here, Monmouth is getting very good looks. They're doing a great job of utilizing skip passes. So Hofstra's quick to slide. They find not the adjacent man, but the skip pass, and they're getting opportunities. They just haven't been able to put any in the back of the net outside of a garbage goal early in the first. Great save.
Monmouth continues to test Mac Gates, and that was a big-time stop for the senior from San Francisco.
That was a great, because stick side low, you wouldn't think that's a difficult save, but quite honestly, it was the hardest save for me to make. But right there, you had somebody coming down the alley, which is where you want. You don't want any shots from the red zone, which is kind of, you know, that 10-yard area right in front of the crease. But you can see here on this replay, just a wonderful job. May have got a kick save there. That was a very good take, a very good drive, a good shot, but even better save.
And it was heads up from the sophomore John Recker to come away with the ground ball. That was something you mentioned in that first quarter. Can the defenders clean up some of these ground balls after their keepers may create stops?
Absolutely, and that is so critical. So it's a great job by them. Just being aware of where you are. If you happen to be that defenseman who's on the crease, you got to make sure that you're going to get that ground ball.
Hofstra being patient this possession, letting that defense rest just a minute. Here's Colton Rudd attacking from behind cage. Met by two different Monmouth players.
10-second here on the shot clock. Look for a feed.
Oh, and right where he needed to be, Gerard Kane took the errant shot and makes it 4-1 Hofstra.
1 second left on the shot clock. That is... That's a difficult. You had such a good defensive stand, but as you can see here, just a shot that went wide. Good opportunity there, but again, that's being in the right place at the right time for Kane, saying, look, okay, I'm going to back up the shot normally. Oh, the shot came to me. I'm going to pick that up, and I'm going to stick it in the goal.
The sophomore from Sewanee, Georgia, with his 35th career goal. Tim, you mentioned it. Sometimes it's about tremendous skill. Sometimes it's about being in the right place at the right time to then use that skill.
Right place at the right time. He was there. He was backing up a shot. You had a right-hander going up, driving behind, even though the shot clock was running down. Long pole shot here. Woo!
That came from Danny DeSanti, who I can comfortably say has had one of the most amazing college journeys of anyone on the field. His career in college started back in 2016 at the United States Military Academy, 4 years at West Point, couple of years active duty, and now finishing up that eligibility with the Pride.
It's and again, kudos to him. You know, the service academies. It's just an unbelievable journey that the service academy attendees go through. I grew up just only a few miles from Annapolis, Maryland. Best friend went to the Naval Academy, played lacrosse, and you know what they go through just daily is unlike anything else that a college athlete experiences. But that is, I feel like he's the Stetson Bennett of lacrosse. He might be 26 years old, but again, kudos to him for continuing his love of the game and playing for the Pride.
And coming away with a ground ball here after another Hofstra stop, as the Pride have come in and been sharp early here in West Long Branch, a 4-1 lead in possession. I like that. We should almost have a club for the student athletes that are of a certain age. Like you mentioned, you know, Stetson Bennett, the great example. We've seen it with the COVID seasons and the extra eligibility, and it's made for some great stories, DeSantis being one of them.
Absolutely, and it's I guess it's the super seniors or whatever it is, but it's a great story. But we are, you know, as we move further away from that COVID season, you're gonna again not as many guys that have been around for 6 years, playing, and then you throw in maybe an injury and they get another redshirt year. So it's interesting for sure. But 4-1 lead here, big defensive stop in need for Monmouth.
Alone right in front was Trey Parks, but a big stop from Coleman, excuse me.
That was a great stop because he was left all alone in what that is. That is the red zone right there. You get it from 8 yards at that location. Good opportunity there. See, we got the backup. Hofstra, again, didn't have anybody behind, taking advantage of an opportunity, maybe some numbers. I don't mind Monmouth pushing the tempo a little bit, but there had a backup. Maintain possession. 60 seconds left on the shot clock.
And in need of a goal to get back in this one. Monmouth had the big lead in their matchup with Stony Brook last week, and now they need to turn the tables, trail here, and in need of launching their own comeback. They've had plenty of chances with the 13 shots, but needing to cash in on one of them.
And while it hasn't led, that's a good pickoff right there. While it hasn't led to a lot of goals, again, I do like what they're doing offensively. They're sharp, they're moving the ball. They just haven't been able to cash in yet.
I'll tell you, Tom Ford, that long stick defender for Hofstra, they have to like him leading the break that way. He's so patient, takes the chances when needed, and you can see why they're very comfortable letting the 6'4" graduate student charge right down the middle of the field.
Absolutely, and again, that is a great job by him just to make that determination. You know, do I go in? Because remember, I rarely see a goalie getting warmed up with someone with a 6-foot-long defensive pole.
Right.
So it's an unorthodox shot for goalies to make, but he's done a great job so far today, dishing it off to his counterparts on offense.
Hofstra's done a great job of being patient as well. They have been very efficient on the attacking end. Getting through was Natalie again as that rang off the post. Good hustle from Sterling Ardrey.
I'd like going back to the earlier part of that possession, a good no call by the official. When the defender for Monmouth lifted the hand of the Hofstra player, there was no one got an advantage from that. It was not a hold, it was not a ward, because it wasn't the Hofstra player warding off with the free hand. So that lift, again, I think that was a very good no call there by the officials. The Hofstra parents wanted that call. Elder taking it to the hoop right there, hit off the pipe, but opportunistic ground ball by Monmouth.
And one of their senior defensive leaders, Michael Quigg, honored by the CAA as a preseason all-league honoree. That's a lot of respect for a player who's never played in the conference before, a first-team all-MAC selection last season.
Absolutely, and it's well-deserved. You know, and again, just looking at and watching his career evolve, he's just been a stalwart there defensively and just so calm and cool. And you can see he picked up that ball and was very patient with that possession and with that clear. And the clearing, Eddie, as you talked about earlier, Monmouth is 17th in the country in terms of their clearing efficiency. So they do a great job of being patient. But again, it's a fundamentally sound program from top to bottom.
Harris Stratton. He's been pretty aggressive for Monmouth in this matchup. Haven't seen a whole lot from Connor McCray or Ty Caffarelli to this point in the match.
And it's picking your spots, and that's what's so wonderful about the game lacrosse is even if you're a star player, it might not be your game. You might just have to distribute, maybe get the hockey assist, maybe set a pick. Got an opportunity here at midline. Shot clock violation.
Yeah, you could see Quigg was positioning with Hofstra's Colton Rudd, but it didn't matter as the shot clock ran out. And this Pride defense that came into play, allowing over 12 goals a matchup, which was second to last in the league, has been stout early. Just Monmouth with one goal through about 20 minutes of game action.
Eddie, that's it. I think that's been the key so far. You know Hofstra's going to get opportunities. They're going to get goals. I think Hofstra having 4 goals this late into the second quarter, Monmouth, they probably take that. But, you know, so far it's been Hofstra what they've done defensively and in goal.
Well, and the difference is, like you mentioned, is Monmouth not being able to capitalize on more of their chances. As Hofstra had a really great chance right in front of the goal there. Looked like it just kind of slipped away from Sykes. And that will lead us into a timeout. 4-1 Hofstra lead, 5:28 remaining in the second quarter. Bring it right back to Kessler Stadium after this.
Our 2 kids down to visit some colleges in the South, and Jersey Mike's is expanding.
That's right.
I saw New Jersey via Jersey Mike's represented in both Virginia and Tennessee.
You know, it's interesting. Obviously, it's a New Jersey, chain. It started just about 20 minutes or so south in Point Pleasant, but one of the first locations out of the state was actually opened by a Monmouth alum. One of my classmates opened a couple in San Diego, and now he's got a bunch out there. So, yeah, it's hard to go anywhere in the country and not see the reach of Jersey Mike's. That's good for you, by the way.
Absolutely, it is. Can't wait. It's one of our favorite, as I said, the sandwich stops, especially when on the road. Good feed inside. Good possession here. We've got just under 5 minutes left to go.
So Monmouth's defense coming away with the stop. Here is Terrence Lacewell.
What a move by Lacewell. He literally did what they say. He put his foot into the ground and changed directions and spun the attacker around. That was like running an out route in football. Spring football practice here for Monmouth as well. It's just an exciting time of year. We haven't even talked about the Masters coming up next week. That's a sign of spring here. It's actually a fairly warm day, even though it's overcast, but the rain has stopped.
This time of year, you mentioned it, between lacrosse, spring football, the Final Four tonight. It might be the best time. Major League Baseball just started again. Might be the best time of year for a sports fan. The only thing not going on is professional football. But I guess it is a little. The XFL's happening, and the USFL. There's always something.
Always something, and kudos to the NFL. They've expanded the calendar to basically all year because we've got the draft coming up. So
that's a great point.
I got to work on my mock draft here. See what my Ravens are going to do. I don't know if we need a quarterback or not, but let's get back to the action at hand here. 15 seconds left on the shot clock. Good opportunity here. A short stick behind.
There is Caden Kesserling. Great trail check there. Can Monmouth get a shot off? Ketchen will just have to dump it there. And every time I feel like we've said, big possession here for Monmouth. Looking to get back on the board. Hofstra has had the answer defensively.
Defense and goaltending, and Gates saving 85%. He's got 6 saves on 7 shots, so he's been up to the task for sure. So again, as we had talked about, Eddie, it's not that Monmouth hasn't gotten opportunities. It's just they haven't been able, just outside of one goal in the early portion of the game. They just have not been able to get anything. They haven't been able to execute in finishing, which is what they did last week. They fit that first quarter last week when they took that 5-0 lead. They just executed and they finished their shots.
More to do with what Hofstra's doing defensively, Tim, or more to do that Monmouth maybe is still trying to find its footing here this afternoon?
Based on what we've seen so far, I think it's more of what Hofstra has been able to do defensively. And again, I can't talk enough about the goaltending. And actually, both goalies have been playing well. That's an excellent save, but another rebound. Elder had that opportunity. Will he get his own rebound?
It will ultimately go out of play. Monmouth the last to touch. So it was Elder to take the shot, and then his hustle is rewarded there. And I believe we're going to have a timeout on that Hofstra sideline. Seth Tierney wants to talk it over. 2:37 to go here in the second quarter. And Hofstra leading Monmouth 4-1. Busy day. We've mentioned it here this afternoon. Our game got us started coming up a little later on. If you tune into Flow Sports later, you might say, wait, why are these same two teams playing again? But the Monmouth and Hofstra women will get going at about 2 o'clock or so. So they make it easy on the broadcasters when it's the same team. And we also, same teams, I should say. We mentioned coming on air today, these teams looking for their first league win. Tim, look at the top of the standings here. The newcomers in Stony Brook, a tremendous start to their run in the CAA. But then also Delaware, the defending champs, got to knock them off, and Drexel another strong start in Philadelphia.
At Delaware, they're just such a well-coached program, and deservedly so at the top of the standings. Drexel, Coach Volker, what he's been able to do there. They had a very challenging early part of the season, but they will absolutely be in the mix. And then you can see, rounding out the last 3 spots, 2 of our teams here and Hampton.
Pirates, a newcomer into the CAA as well. Top 4 make the CAA tournament. There's been really good teams in the last handful of years that haven't qualified for the CAA tournament. Sometimes the 5th best team in this league is still one of the top 25 in the country, but it's so competitive. And we knew that coming into this conference for our first year covering it, just how talent-laden these teams were top to bottom.
And it's almost frustrating if you're a fan of the CAA because they're not quite a two-bid league yet. Maybe if Delaware gets knocked off in the finals, do they have the out-of-conference resume to maybe get one of the at-large spots? It's close, but again, it's great. The competition from top to bottom really is. It's an exciting time to be a CAA fan for sure.
We have seen there is precedent to teams getting at-large bids, like you said, and that's the goal. When you add teams like they have, Stony Brook being a team that's seen success previously, Monmouth as well, a championship back in 2021. Brian Fisher's led Monmouth to a couple of titles in his time on the sidelines. Already his 10th season, by the way. It's amazing how fast that flew.
I know, and you can see this is the physicality of the game of lacrosse. You can see coming up right here on the replay. This is so a little, just call it a push, but that's a classic 2-on-1 ground ball. And when we talk about ground balls win games, that's the type of ground ball. The 50-50 ground ball, when it really does matter. Those are the ground balls that really count. Nice save there. Probably want to. I don't want to say that was an easy save when it's coming. That's probably 75 miles an hour from about 6 yards out. But you might, as we talked about, make the goalie make a save. While that was kind of stick side high, he was able to get it and control it, giving him. I think that was his eighth save so far today.
And one of the players that we mentioned earlier, who's used to scoring a lot of goals for Monmouth, and Connor McRae, it seemed like, Tim, when you get to a point in the game where we are a minute before halftime and you're trailing 4-1, you're a goal scorer. You want to do something. So he tried to do that, but maybe, like you said, wasn't the best chance he had at goal.
Absolutely, and that's where he's just thinking, I need an opportunity. Wow, what a quick release and finish.
There is Gerard Kane, his second goal of this first half. Colton Rudd found him, and Hofstra extends its lead.
He looked like a Canadian, and what I mean by that is watch him catch it and release it right away. No big wind-up. It's literally, he just was like a sniper. I'm going to catch it. You're going to give me the opportunity here to finish, and I'm going to stick it right there where it's really a difficult save to make. Kind of at knee height, stick side of a goalie. It's hard to get to that. It's more of a stabbing motion. So that was just an excellent finish right there. So here's what we had talked about. That was the third illegal procedure on the face-off. So it will be a 30-second penalty. So we're going to have our first man-up opportunity here today for both teams. Monmouth's going to get possession here. Critical. You've got 45 seconds left. It's a 30-second penalty. You want to make sure that you put your best 30-second man-up play into action here.
Hofstra comes in to play this afternoon, 7th in the league in penalty killing. Flip that around. Monmouth, though, last in the league in man-up opportunities. So those two units evenly matched, which we'll now see for the next 30 seconds.
Keep an eye on Caffarelli here. He leads the team, and he's actually 19th in the nation with man-up goals with 4. So 4 of his goals so far this year have been on man-up, so keep an eye on him.
And Monmouth in need of one here with 51 seconds to go before halftime. So we'll see, like Tim mentioned, what 30-second man-up play Monmouth has in store for Hofstra, trailing 5-1. There is Caffarelli giving it over.
A lot of motion here, so they, again, change sets. Opportunity here with the backup.
Low attempt from Ketchen. Still plenty of time for Monmouth. Hofstra a couple seconds away from trying to kill off this penalty.
So if you don't get a clean look, this is a good opportunity. Looks like it is going to be Hofstra ball.
That shot from Carcian went wide. And then more good hustle from Gates behind goal. Great sequence there for the Pride. Maintaining the 5-1 lead, Tim, successfully killing off the penalty. And now they'll have a chance to score here late in the first.
And that, again, that was a, I don't know if it was a deflection off a defender or if it was a save, but regardless, it was another backup. The third one this half. Hofstra backing up a shot on a defensive possession. So they have, obviously, you only give up 1 goal and a half. You got to credit them. But Seth Tierney, who's been at the helm, I'll go out here. I know both of these coaches personally, and they're both great human beings. Not only are they great lacrosse coaches, but they're great mentors, and it's exciting to see. And then you look at the rosters for both teams. A lot of guys. You're spreading our wings. You're North Carolina. Again, you've got some flavor from Canada north of the border.
Yep.
So it's good. It's just like we talked about Jersey Mike's. We're seeing the expansion of lacrosse. Across the. I haven't seen a player from Hawaii or Alaska yet on a roster, but. So the lower 48, I think it's just a testament to the game and how fun it is. And it's just as you can see here, while there's only been 6 goals in the half, it's not because we haven't had action in activity.
Oh, absolutely not. We've seen each goalie make great plays. The defenses have really been good in this first half and active, like you said. This hasn't been a stagnant half by any stretch.
It has not. Kuhlman saving 58%. I said 55% probably wins this game. He's at 58. However, Gates is 87% so far on the day.
Well, the caveat to 55% is if the other keeper's not saving almost 90%.
Very true. Thank you for defending me there.
So as Hofstra advance, they'll take another timeout here with 6 seconds left to now be able to draw something up and try to get the 6th goal past Andrew Kuhlman.
And as they say, you can't take it to the locker room, so you got 6 seconds. So just look for, again, probably a feed to the middle. That's what they're going to try to do. It's going to be literally a ball's going to start back right, maybe a sprint, depending on. You're probably going to start the ball with one of the defenders. So you got a long pole. So Monmouth wants to try to get in their gloves, but just be cognizant of trying to feed into the crease.
Now you mentioned each coach. I always enjoy the journey that coaches take there. Brian Fisher was a tremendous face-off man in his time at Rutgers before spending time there as an assistant, and then ultimately at Notre Dame before starting the Monmouth program 10 seasons ago. While Seth Tierney's in his 17th season, he's led Hofstra to 4 NCAA appearances. Did you and him ever cross paths on the field? He was down at Johns Hopkins, I believe, when you were at Loyola.
Yeah, we just missed each other.
Got it.
Fortunately, we just missed each other. But I was also, for Coach Fisher's senior year at Rutgers, I was the volunteer on staff there. So that's how,
go.
again, so I've known him since he was a wee young lad, a face-off specialist, had an awesome career as back in, that was 2000, 2001, and you can see an opportunity here right off the back. Not clean, good look inside, but
yeah, that will indeed end the half as Hofstra never got the true attempt at goal, but didn't matter after a pretty solid first 30 minutes. The Pride looking to win their first CAA matchup, lead Monmouth at the break 5-1. Welcome you back here to Kessler Stadium, our first of 2 matchups here this afternoon between Monmouth and Hofstra. The women at 2 o'clock, but we're at halftime here of the men's game. Tim McGaney, Eddie Occhipinti here with you. And Tim, let's look at some highlights. We saw each goalie play well, but Hofstra has built a 5-1 lead.
They have, and it's been on the back of their defense. Literally, that is their defense. And Gates in goal with 7 saves on 8 shots. That's been the difference, literally, because if you look at the data, if you look at the statistics, it's a very even game outside of shots because both goalies have 7 saves, so it's just Hofstra is getting more opportunities and putting those shots on cage.
And they have, like Tim mentioned, taken advantage of those chances. That last goal that you saw was a big one from Gerard Kane. Monmouth thought it had the defensive stop it needed, and Hofstra was able to turn it into another goal. As you take a look at the halftime stats presented by the Monmouth Medical Center and RWJ Barnabas Health, and they tell the story, Tim, like you mentioned, of an even game being played everywhere except on the scoreboard to this point.
And right there, 4 shots on goal is the difference. 4 goals is the difference in the ball game. So that right there, when you have 2 goalies, I would say playing on par with one another, that's been the difference. Save 7, turnovers similar, calls turnovers similar, clears nearly perfect across the board. That has been the difference. But to Monmouth's credit, they have gotten opportunities. So it's not as if they've had a stale offense. It's been very good. They just need to start capitalizing.
And maybe even one of the surprising things is that Monmouth has won 5 of 8 face-offs, and we know how good both Sutar and Chase Patterson are, but Sutar has had a really good afternoon. Has been aided by some face-off violations from the Pride, but that hasn't translated to great opportunities for its attack.
That is correct, and you mentioned it earlier, Eddie. No matter what you do, if you have an opposing goalie saving 85% of shots, there's not much you can do to overcome that. We had talked about how the face-off battle was going to be a key. All the special teams, that being riding and clearing, goaltending play. That's been the difference so far in today's game.
I feel like the previous few years, you and I exclusively covering the MAC when Monmouth was in the league, I feel like we saw a high-level play in goal, and that might have been due in part to some attack units that weren't up to par like these CAA teams are. But the way that Gates has played as the turnover here in this first half kind of harkens back to, it's hard to beat a hot keeper.
Agreed. And right there, I like what he did there. He came off his line to really, like an ice hockey goalie, when there's little angle, he actually came off his line, played a bit of a higher arc, forcing that shot wide.
An all-CAA second-team selection a season ago was Mac Gates. He has saved at least 10 shots in 6 games this season and well on his way to his 7th with those 7 first-half stops.
And you can see his style of play plays a very flat arc, has a little bit of a hop prior to the shot coming, but I think it's giving the goalies the ability to maybe change things up in terms of playing your angles. Dylan Ward, the great Canadian box and field goalie, does that. Opportunity here. What a shot!
Monmouth able to get on the board first here in the second half as Matt Carcine makes it 5-2.
That is just an opportunity. You're winding down the shot clock, and that you put the ball on cage, make the goalie make a save. Not many goalies are going to make that save. That was a laser into the upper corner to make it 5-2. Good start for Monmouth.
The feed from Cage Stratton, it's his 40th career assist. That ties him for second most all-time at Monmouth with former Hawk Griffin Fiegel. But a big-time goal for Carcine as he's now scored a point in 8 of his last 9 games.
Was big goal, big spot right there. Needed a quick start coming out of halftime.
And then the face-off win, Tim.
Absolutely. Each team's won a face-off, so this is an important possession. But as we had talked about, Eddie, it's not that Monmouth isn't getting chances. That was a perfect opportunity where they had multiple chances. They put one on net in just a very, very difficult save to make. When it's that precise, going that fast with a little bit of traffic in front of you, it's you're gonna score more of those than the goalie's gonna make a save.
Here's Stratton just playing the role of playmaker, looking to do so again. Ketchen spins, fires high, but Monmouth has the backup it needs.
Deliberate there. Again, you can see it looked like Ketchen had an opportunity to maybe shoot it righty, but then came back, rolled to the middle of the field. Wasn't really happy with that lefty, which looks to be probably his dominant hand. So that's just Coach Fisher, again, talking to these guys about don't always take the first shot. Don't settle for it. There he had to settle for it because the shot clock was winding down, but he did get to the middle of the field. But good save, no rebound. We had talked about that. Gates, nice job. That was another bounce shot. So that you want to, as an offensive player, you want to get to the middle of the field, your strong hand. That's what he did there, even though the shot clock was winding down. Falling away a little bit, but still put it on goal. Make him make a save, and he did.
The 8th stop of the afternoon for Gates. It just turned afternoon, by the way. It was morning for the first hour and change of our broadcast. The early start here on Saturday in West Long Branch. It looks like the rain has restarted again. It's expected on and off all afternoon.
Good D by Lacewell there. Just turning back the offensive player.
he's had an active game both in clear and on defense. Elder was open. Instead, the shot was taken by Sykes, and another stop for Monmouth's Coleman.
Great save. He read that all the way, getting his top hand across his body, but maintaining possession, and a shot and a goal.
Transition opportunity. Scooter Whiteside makes it 5-3.
All started with the save. Absolutely started with the save, the quick outlet, the transition. That's why this game is great. You can be down. There was a game, Eddie, earlier this week, a Division III contest. There was 1:17 left. The team was down by 4 goals. They came back to push it into overtime. You're never out. And you can just, again, just a great opportunity here. So nobody picked him up. He said, I'm going to take it down, and I'm going to shoot off hip low, make the goalie make a save. You get it on cage, 5-3.
That goal means a lot, not just to Monmouth in this game, but to Scooter Whiteside. After missing all of last season, that's his first goal since 2021. First goal of the season after missing all of last season, and he makes it 5-3.
Just a very, I can't express how impressive that save was. To be able to go across, not guessing, but maybe some anticipation there. Maybe they had a good scout on that shooter, but just an unbelievable save. And then that's why it's also so important to have a clean save, because you start transition right away.
You mentioned that's what Monmouth did so well last week. Able to score some in transition, get some goals in bunches. They've scored the first 2 here in the second half. Stop here from Coleman, from Ardrey. And then a loose ball, and the player that shot it, the senior Sterling Ardrey, comes away with the ground ball. 55 seconds to shoot after it reset to 60.
And that was a great shot by him. And then just the athletic ability to go and get that ground ball almost at the midfield line.
Downhill, Ryan Sheridan, and he answers for Hofstra to make it 6-3.
Big righty just getting an opportunity, puts the stick in his right hand, gets it to the middle of the field, giving him, his stick has eyes here, as you can see. Good leverage, and that's just an excellent shot right there.
Well, when big number 55 turned the corner there, and with no slide in front of him, that is a large attacker bearing down on Andrew Coleman.
And you said it right there, Eddie, in your analysis, no one in front of him. And that was the key. Is going back, though, let's take a look at this, the previous save made here, and it's just an excellent job. It's so important as a goalie to get your top hand to the ball. Drive that top hand to the ball, and he did, and that was just a great save that led to the last Monmouth goal.
7th face-off that has been won by Monmouth's Matt Sudar. Oh, and then not on the same page. Poor attack spacing there, and Monmouth turns it over.
As the rain picks back up again, but getting back to that Hofstra goal, Sheridan just did a great job of saying, well, I'm going to get a step. Not really beat, but I'm going to get a step on my man. No one slid to him. You want to make sure, especially if you have a short stick on one of the most potent shooters on the team, you get a quick slide. You've got to have a green. You've got to have a quick call to make sure that you get somebody into his gloves or take body.
So now Hofstra will be patient. After Monmouth with 2 quick goals and the big answer from Sheridan. Now the Pride with 8:40 to go here in the 3rd quarter. And Colton Rudd will take their time. 25 seconds to shoot.
Rudd likes this matchup on the short stick. They were able to switch. He gets the feed outside.
Hofstra being very patient. Pick set from Gerard Kane. Here's Elder with those 2 first-half goals. He'll work it towards the middle of the field.
6 seconds left on the shot clock. Watch them force it in. Try a shot here, turn and shoot.
Parks goes down. It was deflected away. Flag did go up late as the shot clock expired, as we'll have to unpack this situation. Critical call here with Hofstra leading 6-3.
Looks like a slash on Quigg, maybe because maybe the slip. We'll see right here. It looks like maybe Trey Parks slips. Oh no, that was a slash. That was a slash. Clean. That was a good call. anything in the head and neck area is going to lead to a 1-minute penalty. So this is a first opportunity for Hofstra. Man up today.
And the timing of that, too, with the shot clock winding down and with the offensive player Park slipping. Look, we have the hindsight here of replays and everything else. It's maybe a play Quigg didn't have to make, but it's hard to tell someone in the spot, hey, don't do what you normally would have done.
He's just playing lacrosse. He's just doing what he does, and he's an aggressive defenseman, and he's earned that right. So keep an eye on Rory Jones, number 2. What a finish there.
That was a blistering finish, and as the rain comes down here in West Long Branch, Gerard Kane, a man up, makes it 7-3.
That was just the lefty. There's no doubt about it. He likes his left hand, and there's not much to his shot. It was literally, you're going to give me it. You're not going to get in my hands. Well, I'm going to take this. I'm going to put it on cage. Very efficient shooter in terms of his shooting percentage throughout his career, and especially this year and today's game.
Third game this season with 3 goals, as the fans here have gone for the umbrellas as the skies have opened up, and your shot there here on the Jersey Shore. This was expected. There's severe weather up and down the state. Just rain and wind expected here, but you could see it's even going to make that 7-3 lead look that much better for Hofstra when the weather is worsening by the minute. Absolutely.
And it is a factor. The weather, even though it's just rain, it's not cold, but it is a factor. You can see right there that that stick is, when the sticks get wet, the pockets tend to get a little bit deeper, strings loosen up. That was probably right there, was almost a turnover, most likely because of the stick and how wet it is.
And we'll make sure that we keep, as the visibility worsens on the screen, we let you know indeed what's going on as Hofstra leads 7-3. And that was a great chance to make it 8-3, but the shot went wide with 7 minutes to go here in the third.
Great job by Jones to dish that. He had probably what would have been a 12-yard step down right in the middle, but he saw his teammate parked on the left side, but they couldn't put it on cage.
Elder, skip pass, shot, deflected away from Coleman.
That was Kane. You could see the lefty. That was a great skip pass by Elder to find Kane. Kane just couldn't put it in. You can see he's looking at his stick now thinking, ooh, is this getting a little deep, bagging out a little bit after those first couple we put on cage. But this backup looks like it's going to go to Monmouth. Great hustle by Coleman there.
It was in great position, and then turning and going and getting a big stop here. 7-3. Coleman's played well. He's hit that number that you highlighted for us. He's stopping 56% of his shots. And he's been active in the cage as well, Tim, especially with how many times in the first half there wasn't backup. He's now ensuring that there will be. So now it's on the attacking unit for Monmouth to try to cut into the 4-goal lead.
It really is, and they've got 2 goals so far in this quarter, and it's just continuing to be opportunistic, be patient, and when you get your chance, put the ball on cage.
Stratton, Caffarelli, Gates kicks it away, and there's the rebound by his defender, Dalton Seas.
Again, excellent save there, and that's that stick side low where the goalies, again, kind of flop down and get to that ball right there. Again, that was the second rebound he's given up on that type of shot, but this time, defender was there to pick up the loose ball.
Tim, on a situation now where the weather is worsening and the rain is just coming down in wind, does it give an advantage to one side versus the other? Is the attacking unit have an advantage because the keeper has to now battle the rain? How did you always view that?
Yeah, I would say if this was a grass field, then you'd really be able to notice maybe the pace of play slowing down. Again, when you're on grass, maybe it's not cut that short. Great opportunity here. What a move and what a goal.
Sterling, Ardrey, the move and the laser. 8-3 Pride.
That was beautiful. I mean, you look at the net there, the splash off the back of the net, but the opportunity right here, boom, he just puts it on cage, high to high laser. But getting back to your point, honestly, in a situation like this, I would give a little bit of the lean towards the offense. The only issue the offense has, like I said, is maybe with with the sticks, and maybe the pocket's getting a little too deep, but it's just another thing that the defense has to worry about, another thing that the goalie has to worry about, because visibility, again, it's just something else that they have to deal with in the elements.
That was the first goal of the season for Ardrey on the 28th in his career. DeSanti will give his chance at goal. Coleman falling backwards, able to make the save.
Good. I like that opportunity. That could have made it a 9-3 game. He was able to get to the middle of the field. He was able to get off a good shot, and Coleman was up to the task there. It was, again, going 5-hole, right in between his legs. He got down, squatted down, made that save. Didn't give up a rebound as well.
Credit Hofstra. After Monmouth got those first 2 goals here in the third quarter, 3 unanswered from the Pride. Largest lead of the game at this 8-3 advantage.
And that's how quickly these games can change in the momentum. We've had 2 momentum shifts already here in the third quarter.
Yeah, when it was 5-3, you thought Monmouth had found its footing, and then Hofstra got the stops defensively. They were able to turn those opportunities into goals, and they've retaken control. See if Monmouth has a run in them here late in the third. It's Carcian behind the cage.
Trying to find a matchup that they want to try to exploit. They haven't been able to do that yet. Now I got an opportunity here. With Stratton on the short stick, looking inside, nothing there. Tries a cross crease skip. Just didn't work, couldn't connect. There was only 3 seconds left on the shot clock, so it's not a bad idea, just couldn't execute.
Yeah, like you said, they had spent a good portion of that shot clock kind of prodding their way through the defensive matchups on the one side of the formation, and then by the time they brought it over to Stratton, there wasn't enough time.
That's exactly right. You kind of poke and you prod and you try to find weaknesses, and they couldn't get that matchup where you get one of your best offensive players on a short stick D midi. It didn't happen until the end of that possession.
And that looping effort, did it get over in time? It did not.
Did not. So you have the first 20 seconds of the 80-second shot clock. You've got to get the ball over. I got an opportunity here. What a save. It's a kick save. Although it doesn't look like a reset of the shot clock, so maybe it's just me being a former goalie always calling it a save.
Well, I mean, it deflected pretty high in the air to not hit the goalie. It hit something.
It sure did. It sure did. But that was a good job on the ride there by Monmouth. So that 20 seconds, I know the ball was in the air, but it just didn't get across the midfield line in time. See if Monmouth can capitalize on that turnover.
Here is Burke Webb. Got by one defender with a dodge and then picked up by the long stick. There Stratton turns, and he shot high, but threading the needle to find Kate Stratton.
It sure was. It was a great job by him to catch that ball and maintain possession. Just couldn't finish, so there's another opportunity where maybe the stick. Again, we've had two right there, in two of those three passes were bounce passes, which means this weather is affecting them.
Yep. And you could see Burke Webb he wears 33, was kind of teeing up a shot attempt, was waiting for that feed, and then when it bounced to him, it took him out of his rhythm.
Absolutely, it did.
So Hofstra's trying to weather the storm and well, it is a play on words. But they were able to do that here, and it does look like there could be some clearing weather. They have this 8-3 lead with 90 seconds to go here in the third quarter.
I see some blue skies in the horizon. It sounds like a Bruce Springsteen song, which you profiled admirably at halftime.
That's right. I was able to sit down with Bob Santelli, who is a former music journalist who runs the Bruce Springsteen Archives Museum, American Learning Center for Music here at Monmouth University. Pretty cool opportunity for the students at Monmouth as that one's deflected away. And for the Jersey Shore in general, have music housed here.
It really is, and part of that interview that I love, Bruce was like, no. I want to be a New Jersey artist.
Yes.
Asbury Park, not New York. I am from this area. I want to be known from this area. Love that.
I think it worked out pretty well for him.
I think it did.
I give him credit. If I was coming up in a field and someone said, I want you to do this, I'd be like, okay, sure.
Whatever you say. Whatever you say, I'll take it.
You could see the shot clock and the game clock here in the third quarter pretty mirrored up as Parks begins his dodge with Whiteside on him. It'll allow Hofstra to bring this clock as far down as it chooses before testing Andrew Coleman again.
I think probably around 15 seconds they'll start to initiate.
Pick coming. Here's the attempt, and it finds the back of the goal. Colton Rudd, an unexpected goal with 10 seconds left. Kind of caught everyone by surprise in the Pride with their largest lead this afternoon.
And that was a very good shot. Looked like maybe the defenseman was a bit of a screen on that skip pass, a good pick, skip pass across, and you can see, yes, that defenseman was a bit of a screen. Coleman couldn't pick it up all the way, but it was still a good shot, a high percentage shot that was on cage that went in. 10 seconds left in the third quarter.
So not just maintaining for Hofstra in the third, but extending a lead, 9-3 with 10 seconds to go, as Tim said here in the quarter.
Especially after the start Monmouth had getting the first 2 goals of the quarter, but this is what makes lacrosse such a great game. Game of runs, game of momentum here. See if we can get a shot on goal in the last few seconds.
And Sudar won't be able to get one off. Was checked just as he was trying to deliver. And that will take us to the end of the third quarter. The Hofstra Pride looking for their first CAA win of the season, extending its lead as they lead 9-3 over Monmouth. 100 student athletes. Visit monmouth.edu/golfouting or email golfouting@monmouth.edu for more information.
10-man ride, shot on goal. We're seeing more of this in college lacrosse, more of a 10-man ride. But what we're also seeing is more of those long-range goals, like we just saw, an opportunity.
Yes.
Where you have, maybe call it a 70-yard shot that are going in. You're seeing more and more of that. So I think the key is if you are going, and I like what Monmouth did there, just to try to change things up. Maybe get a quick turnover, and get a goal to get the momentum back. I like that. But smart play by the Hofstra defender. Shoot it, because it's a shot. While it's not on goal, it's still considered a shot, and they back it up, and they get possession down at their own end.
Well, you mentioned that, and then before the game, we were getting ready for the broadcast, and you mentioned this move to more positionless lacrosse, some of the trends that you're seeing in the game.
It is, and so gone are the days of when you have a excellent stop there, a dedicated crease attackman that would just roam around the crease and pick up loose balls. It was typically a larger bodied person. That's gone. Now you're having, with as much specialization as we have in the game, you're seeing so much, and that was a good save just to get down on that. That was got down, maybe a little kickoff of the left foot. Up to the test.
90 seconds into the third quarter, and like you said, the fluidity of the game has probably led more to that new kind of era of player that is multi-talented, being asked to do a lot of different things.
It is, because back in the 70s, a midfielder was on the field to play offense and defense. And then the whole midfield line would sub, and they would play offense and defense. Now that's not the case, because you've got basically they should just be called offensive players or forwards.
Right.
They say that in box lacrosse, you're a forward. And then you get off the field and you got a short stick and that's it. So you really have 6 forwards on offense. Anybody can play any position offensively.
Monmouth down 6, in need of a comeback bid here in the fourth quarter. Could start here. Ketchen. Drawing now McCray. Quick shot and a goal.
Good ball movement there, looking for an opportunity. And again, it's that hockey assist. Just keep the ball moving, because the ball moves faster than a human being, Kenya. That was just a nice look right into the middle of the field and a good shot down low, and that's what Monmouth needed that. They needed just to say, okay, it's the fourth quarter. We need to capitalize. Let's just take our time, but let's get the ball in cage. That was a very good look right there.
Earlier in the game, McCray, with a quicker shot than maybe he was used to. This time, the experienced goal scorer for Monmouth had the feet set on that receiving of the pass, Tim, and he made that attempt. It's just so much easier when you do all the work beforehand.
Absolutely. It's the little things. It's getting set, getting ready, getting your hands back, getting your feet set. We've seen that for Kane. Kane's done an unbelievable job for Hofstra, just catching and shooting in such a good, quick rhythm, and it comes out of his stick so quickly. That's just, for all the young attackers, and he is predominantly a lefty, and he's making no bones about trying to shoot with his right hand. Well, he can, but he's just so good and gets it out so quickly with his left, and it's so on target. Fun to watch.
The 52nd career goal for Connor McCray. He's just the fourth Monmouth player in program history to eclipse that 50-goal plateau.
So we'll see if anything really changes here. I don't think it will, either offensively or defensively, and that's great offense. Causing them, not only the first slide, but then the second slide wasn't there, and you get it to, who else today? Kane just did a great job of catching in tight and finishing in tight.
Yeah, he has been fantastic. His fourth goal of the game. And like you said, has just a great feel for where to be, knows how to get open.
Exactly. If you watch that, if you were to isolate on him, he just literally is moving around and finds that seam. And he's just so patient when he receives the ball and puts it in. So he's just having a tremendous game today.
And you add him to an attacking unit that features some pretty talented players and names we haven't even mentioned, right? Rory Jones, Justin Sykes, guys with double-figure goals that haven't really factored in, but Elder has been great, and Kane has really stepped forward here this afternoon, has as many goals as Monmouth does to this point in the match.
And that's what you want to see, quite honestly, as long as the goal scorers coming into the game they're not being selfish. The ball's not getting buried in their stick. They're saying, okay, so maybe it's just I'm not going to be a huge contributor point-wise, but I'll be a facilitator. I'll do some little things. I'll maybe back up, and that's exactly what's happening. But that just goes to show you that there is some depth on this Hofstra team.
And they'll add to that tally. You mentioned the depth. This team, Tim, is looking for that first CAA win of the season.
And that's been 2 consecutive breakdowns on defense by Monmouth, and you can see here it's just kind of getting lost in the middle. And anytime you give up shots from there, that's frustrating because I know Coach Fisher is not happy when shots are given up from that angle. And again, anything, call it 3 yards in from the hash marks in front of the cage when a shooter has the entire 6x6 to look at, that's not the shot you want to give up.
You could see the teammates' reaction to Rory Jones's goal, his 15th of the year. He's an interesting case. He had scored, Tim, prior to last week, a point in 21 straight games dating back to last season. He was shut out in that loss to Delaware. And quite frankly, that's his first point today. So it feels good for him to get back to doing what he's used to, scoring goals.
It does, but that's a perfect example of a lot of his goals have come on man up. So that's his role there. He knows that. They've only had one man up opportunity today. And it just, and again, he doesn't score against Delaware. Delaware is a top 20 team in the country, let alone that they sit atop the CAA, but they're a playoff, most likely a playoff team, and could contend for an at-large if they don't win the postseason tournament outright.
Top 4 teams make that tournament later on during the year. Caffarelli going in, but we go the other way. It was Tim Haggerty to now lead the break. And then Kane, I thought he might have went for goal number 5, but he said, you know what, let's run a little bit of clock.
It's smart. That's smart. You're up 11-4. You don't want to turn the ball over. As we can see, Monmouth has had a couple goals today on transition, so they're a very good transition team. So you don't want to – that was a low-angle shot kind of falling away, so it was smart just to pull it back, get the offensive players on, give your defense a break, and just work the clock. Every second counts. Wouldn't be surprised here to see Monmouth again. They don't really have a choice. Again, under 10 minutes left, down by 7. They're just going to have to be more aggressive. A couple ways you can do that. Quicker doubles to the ball. Maybe Coleman comes out as a when the ball gets behind, he could come out. Maybe he's a little bit more aggressive, trying to pick off passes. Maybe you shut, if you got one-on-one here, you shut off the adjacents to make it harder. You force them to go to the goal. There's a couple different things you can do here. That's just a great job of Hofstra getting an opportunity and putting it on cage.
It was Sheridan behind the goal. He found Colton Rudd, and it is all pride here in the fourth quarter as they answered Monmouth's third quarter run in the later third with a bunch of goals, Tim, and they've started the fourth similarly, and they have taken control.
And that goal was all set up by Rudd, what he did before the ball got into his stick, because he saw his defender, Lacewell, look to maybe double team to try to create offense. So what he did is he just simply backed out and created shooting space for himself and then put the ball on net and scored.
Yeah, this was a 5-3 game at one point. And from that point on, throughout the third and fourth quarters, it's been all Hofstra as that attempt from Stratton rings off the post. But the rebound attempt is there for Monmouth, and McCray gets another one.
It does. Opportunistic opportunity there for him. Right place at the right time, but got the rebound and said, you know what, we need goals. I'm going to put this on net. And he did, and he scored. Pipe right here. Sits right back on it, says, you know what? I mean, you're 10 yards out. You got to shoot. You got to shoot, and he did, and put that on cage.
2 goals now for McCray, the 5th time this season. He has had a game with at least 2 goals. And the faceoff won by Sutar, who's played a good game, and he's had a tough matchup with the best faceoff man in the league in Chase Patterson, but Sutar has definitely held his own.
He has. He's done everything possible to give his team a chance by again having the upper hand today in the face-off battle. But it's
great attempt there from Caffarelli, just shot high.
There's only so much you can do. It's all the phases have to come together, and that's been offset by the work in goal by Gates. He's dipped down below 70%.
Yeah, you save almost 69% of the opposition shots, and you're going to have a lot of success. Like you said, that number was 87% in the first half.
So, Mamas, they've got to continue to go. Every dodge has to be to the goal. They've got to get opportunities here.
McCray scored a couple here in the second half.
One more opportunity, step down.
That was a great job, stepped forward defensively by Hofstra, bothering that shot.
Good offense, but you're right, Eddie. Anytime, if you're unencumbered shooting from 12 yards and in, you should score goals. But if you've got a defender using that 6-foot pole just to bother you even a little bit, you can see there. That's exactly what happened. Shot didn't even get on cage.
5 seconds. This shot, did it get by the keeper? It did. Gates initially stopped it, but credit the goal to Carcian to make it 12-6.
And credit this officiating crew. I think they've done an excellent job. That official, his responsibility is goal line extended, and you can see he's planted there. He sees does the ball get in? Yes, it does. Completely clears. He's right there. Excellent call by the officials.
Tim, and like you said, it's got to be clearly, completely clearing that line. And he was adamant. You see, running in from that, just about, maybe 8 yards away from the cage. Called it right away.
Yeah, because he signaled a reset because the save was made initially, but then it did bounce back, and a good position right there. Again, being a referee, it's a tough job.
Thankless, tough job.
It is.
That was a big shot taken by McCray. Flag up, and now Monmouth, which has scored a couple of goals in a row, will have a man up middle way through the fourth quarter.
And you like to see McCray doing that because he knows right here I'm going to get hit, and I don't know, maybe a forearm shiver, maybe an elbow. It looked maybe looked worse than it was, but again, I'm not an official. I don't want to be in that spot. But anytime a player's helmet comes off, it probably means one, it's not buckled, or two, they were probably hit by some appendage by the defender.
Yeah, and the player who was the guilty party there was Chase Patterson, and he was actually not involved in the initial part of the play. Where McCray landed is where Patterson was. And like you said, maybe there was a touch of contact. That appears, and this crew's done a great job, but that appears to be a tough call against Hofstra with 7:01 to go in the fourth.
Tough, definitely a tough call. Could have gone either way, but again, getting back to McCray, knowing that. All right,
but McCray gave himself a chance.
Absolutely. I've got to sacrifice my body. I've got to get to the middle of the field. I've got an opportunity here. We need goals. I'm going to get hit, and that's okay.
Well, you said it earlier. Every dodge has to be intentional.
Yes.
So if you go to cage aggressively every time, then you make the officials have to make a call.
Absolutely.
Can Monmouth continue its scoring run here in the fourth? Couple of goals to get back in this one. Work it around. McCray tries again, and they'll still have 35 seconds. They will reset after the keeper did get a stick on it.
That was good offense by Monmouth. It's not that they're not getting opportunities. They are. That was a good save. Not the best angle of righty shooter on the right side, but at this point, you're 6 goals down with just over 6 minutes left. You got to make the goalie make a save, and that's what they did there. Maintain possession. About 15 seconds left on the shot clock.
Caffarelli has it kicked away by Gates. And then the long stick, Hegarty goes high for the ground ball.
Dangerous play there, but a heady play by Gates, not only controlling the ball, but absorbing a check.
And it was Blake Cooling, the redshirt freshman from Cary, North Carolina, to come away with the big ground ball.
Just look for Hofstra to use the entire shot clock here, and let's see what Monmouth can do in terms of putting some pressure on them defensively.
Well, you alluded to the points earlier, how a trailing team can kind of try to get possession back. You mentioned quicker with the double teams. This juncture of the game down 6, is that what you would look for?
Yeah, absolutely. I would let, if possible, my best cover man get the ball, and then when that matchup happens, I would then shut off the adjacent so there's not an easy pass. One way to do it. Credit Hofstra, they found a matchup that they like. Smart by not throwing it, because they would have thrown it and then it had a long stick on it. Now is an opportunity to maybe shut off. If you're comfortable.
That's the long stick of Quigg on Rudd with 10 seconds now.
Get into his gloves, because he's going to want to look.
And he does just that. This shot behind will stay with Hofstra, but they'll have just 2 seconds to operate.
That was very good defense by Quigg right there.
And they will just dump it with 4:50 to go. And now you're in that position of the game where Tim Monmouth has no room for error, down 6.
None. And Quigg did a nice job there, learning from what happened earlier when he was fouled with a slash. Did a nice job of just saying, okay, he doesn't have a step on me. He might shoot it, but let me just use my body to get in the way of the shot. And that's exactly what happened. No 2-point shot in college lacrosse. We have it in the PLL professionally. So you just have to make, you got to make hay. You've got to get out here and you've got to you got to get to the goal. Look for maybe some 2-men game, where you've got one playing a pick. You can see a pick coming here, maybe a throwback. Keep moving it. It's got to be hot. You got to keep the ball moving.
Just 4 minutes remain here on the fourth. Hofstra's not allowing Monmouth anything easy. Wide attempt here from Webb. And Hofstra's gotten to pretty much every 50-50, it seems, today, Tim.
Yes, and that's the third, I believe, the third run out. And that's 3 possessions. And Monmouth they're so young, they just don't have the depth yet and the ability offensively to overcome not backing up 3 shots. They just don't. That's 3 possessions. But a young team, they will continue to. This team, you can't predict injuries, but they have some really good players that are playing. They've got a lot of freshmen who are seeing time in big spots. They've got probably one of their best offensive players is out. So this team is going to be someone it's going to be give it a year or two, and the CAA continues to build, and they're going to be a force.
And we've seen it before when Monmouth had its previous championship seasons and having the opportunity to build, recruit, put those classes on top of each other, and then it happened in 2017 for this program and 2021 as well. And Hofstra no different. They've seen a ton of success as well, and more of a sustained success in the CAA. And even this year, Tim, they've got 7 losses. 3 of those losses, though, were by a goal to really good teams. Navy at Michigan. So this team, you said Towson might be, the best team in the country at their record. Hofstra is 2-7, but if you look and see 2-7 looking for a first CAA win, it doesn't do nearly the justice of how good this team is. We'll talk more about that after this final timeout. We came on air discussing how great Matt Sutar has been this season, and he's had a really good game against the best face-off man in the league, Tim, in Hofstra's Chase Patterson.
And this is, we said it was going to be a key to the game, but they both have battled. You get a little nod to Sutar and Monmouth today, but it's one thing to win possessions, but then as we had talked about right before the break, when you give up 3 possessions because you don't do a little thing like running out shots, it takes away from the work that's been done in other areas of the field.
And the point we were making before our final media timeout, and just how good Hofstra's been this season, they're so talented. They've been on the losing end of 3 one-goal games. But a game like this might be what they need to kind of jumpstart the second half of their season.
Absolutely. And as we had talked about, you get a win here. If you're Hofstra, you're like, okay, we're 1-2. We still have, we've got a lot of lacrosse left to play. But, again, also a young team kind of going through a little bit of a rebuilding effort. This could be a big win for them if they are able to pull through against a feisty Monmouth. And they knew it. Talking to their coach, they knew that it was going to be a game. There's not a gimme against one of the newest members of the CAA.
Well, and you look after this matchup, Hofstra gets the return home with a big game with Towson. That's almost like a playoff elimination game already. That's next Saturday on Long Island, and then road matchups with Drexel and Hampton before finishing the regular season with Stony Brook at home.
That's just that Stony Brook game could come down to one of 2 things: who's going to get in the top 4, or positioning within the top 4.
And then you look at Monmouth, which has another non-league game before they finish up with CAA play. They still have 3 of their last 4 away from home. They have to go to Hampton, Fairfield, and Drexel. Their last home game after this afternoon, and the next time we'll have them is April 22nd against that Tigers team.
And looking at the scoreboard here, Towson and Stony Brook are tied up at 4 in the second. Delaware has a big advantage on Hampton. You can see Coleman out of the goal. Has to come out. Under a minute left to go here. This has just been a solid team victory for Hofstra. Got to the 12-goal mark. It was something that we had talked about, but I think this game for them was really won defensively, and the work that Gates put in, 71% save average on the afternoon, and that right there has been the difference.
Yeah, and you look at what Hofstra did in that second and third quarter where they outscored Monmouth 6-2. That came after Monmouth had really, especially in that third, they looked like they kind of, found their footing. But then Hofstra made sure they had an answer for every run that Monmouth made this afternoon.
They did, momentum, we said momentum swung. It was basically all Hofstra in the first, and then Monmouth quick out of halftime with 2 goals. But Hofstra did a good job of just staying patient. They fought their way back, and they won those middle quarters, as you had said, Eddie, 6-2, and that is the difference.
Well, they won the middle quarters, and they're going to come away with their first CAA win of the season. The Pride will improve to 3-7 overall, 1-2 in league play. The loss drops Monmouth to 0-3 in the CAA, and they dip below 500 overall. Back and forth competitive game early, but one in which Hofstra, Tim, ultimately took control and wins their first CAA matchup of the year, 12-6.
Yes, and it was a good solid game. I think this is going to be, while Monmouth goes to 0-3 in conference play, I think what this allows them to do is go back and look at the tape again and say, Coach Fisher's going to say, guys, we're not that far away. We don't give them 3 additional possessions. And maybe the score is 9-6. You know, they're not that far away with such a young team. So while you hate to talk about moral victories, but I think between the Stony Brook contest and how well they played offensively, what they did today, especially if the faceoff dot, you came across the hot goalie, there's not much you can do there.
A hot goalie, 4 goals from Kane, and that's a recipe that Hofstra uses for the win. Your final game stats presented by the Monmouth Medical Center and RWJ Barnabas Health tell the story of a pride win in West Long Branch here on Saturday. For our entire production crew, our producer Andrew Kurtz, and my broadcast partner Tim McGaney, I'm Eddie Acapinti saying so long from Kessler Stadium. Flow Sports is your home for live and on-demand CAA sports coverage all season long. Visit flowsports.tv/CAA for more information. This has been a presentation of the Monmouth Digital Network. 15 saves for Matt Gates, 4 goals for Gerard Kane, and a dominating defensive effort lead Hofstra to a 12-6 win over Monmouth here on a rainy Saturday at the Shore.